Hi guys. So earlier today or yesterday and the day before, I asked two sets of questions. One was a follow-up to the first. The first set of questions was, why do you not affirm for the love of someone else? In other words, why do you not say things like, he loves me, she loves me, they can't live without me, they can't breathe if I'm not in the room, they can't function without me? Why do you not do this? And a lot of you answered properly because you're in this group and you learn from me. So very proud of you guys. And then the follow-up question to that was, how would you feel if someone said to you, you don't have any free will, you don't have a choice, you gotta love me, and it's not up to you, it's not your decision? Because this toxic behavior is taught by a lot of coaches. And some people are so desperate that they adhere to it. Why does it backfire? So I put it on you guys. And I made you question what it would feel like if you were on the receiving end of someone telling you, you have no free will, you don't matter, what I say goes. Right? It's very toxic. But if you're on the receiving end, because what you do to another, you're doing to yourself. And this is the utmost importance to understand in non-duality, is that there is no other. That the illusion of others serve you so you can see what you're doing to yourself, but you are still responsible for how you behave. So as such, that toxic behavior that is being taught and pushed out in other groups is the very same reason you don't have the love of your lifetime. It's very simple. You see, in affirming like a lunatic parrot in this way, in this disgusting and repulsive and repelling way, you exude desperation. You exude lack of confidence in who you are and the love that you have for yourself. You exude a type of neediness and clinginess that is repelling rather than drawing someone in. Because if you were on the receiving end of that, you were instantly repelled. In fact, some of the answers in our group were, I would exit out of that stalkerish behavior. I would drop kick them in the head and make my way out. I would totally be repelled. Others answered very purely and beautifully when they said, well, if it's me, why would I do affirm for my shadow when how I'm behaving on the inside is what matters? And that in itself was the answer I was looking for. You see, I don't teach solipsism. And I think that teaching and promoting solipsism, that which is you are the only thing and the only thing that matters, is a half picture. It's a half picture. Because to be God, to really love as God, you must understand how the illusion works and how to serve it properly and how to be love, to receive love. And so earlier today, I was also asked by my best friend, so then how do I get my desire? Are you telling me what everybody of all the other coaches said, to let my desire go? And I said, yes, but I'm not telling you to let your desire go because you're going to lose something. I'm telling you to stop falling for the illusion of division that you are causing yourself. You see, your eyes work like mirrors, and as such, you are the object behind the mirror. You are everything at once. And so if you fall for that delusion and you keep wanting the object in the mirror, you are the reason for the division. So let me explain what that division looks like. That division looks like third parties. That division looks like time and space borders. That division looks like you are not with your partner physically on the 3D. That is correct, because you who have not understood how you are everything on earth and you are already them, and you are refusing to accept source perspective and just
take that energy back and put all that effort, all that desire back into you where it fucking belongs, then you would have your desire. It would come to you willingly. And that is how you master this love that must just be in order to have. You must be that image. The most disgusting and repulsive behavior comes from the affirmation culture that goes, la, 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 they love me, he loves me, he can't live without me, blah, 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 blah. Do you realize how disgusting that behavior is? Like, it's, that's how I feel, repulsed. And so does everyone who is on the receiving end of that. That's what's causing the hot and cold behavior. You who decided that they don't count, that they don't matter, that decided to treat something outside of you as if it is nothing and expect to receive love back because it's supposedly your creation. That disgusting as shit behavior is not godly, is not love. And I'm passionate about it. You know why? Because love is an effort. It says so in Corinthians. You are not fully known until you come face to face with the mirror of yourself. And it is in understanding how the mirror is you, and in becoming that source and losing that desire for the object in the mirror. Why do you want what is not out there? You are the source of it. So I apologize for going against this culture, this toxic affirmation culture that says they don't matter. That's so ungodly because this shadow is your child, Christ. How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you to behave like that, to forget how to love like God, because in loving like God does, you receive the love automatically. Why? Because it's a mirror of you. But when you put out this toxic behavior, they don't matter. Let me affirm to death. Let me affirm to death because I'm going to make them. I'm going to put a spell over them. I'm going to make sure that they want me. That's disgusting, needy, and repulsive. It is absolutely the opposite of everything you should be doing to receive love. And that's why it's so hard. And that's why it's taking so long for you to come back full circle. Why? Because anyone on the receiving end of that disgusting bullshit is repelled. Is repelled. It's asphyxiating. I should know. I've been on the receiving end of it a lot. It's not cool. It's not cool. That's not love. If you read Corinthians, if you truly read Corinthians and you read what love is, here's how you will always know that you actually have love. You replace everything where it says love is, and you place your partner's name there. And if it matches, then you have actual love. But this is not forced. It is not envious. It is not trying to own something. It's not holding any grievances. Of course not. Why would you hold grievances if the image is of yourself? You are learning to master the relationship with yourself. And then the sacred mirror, in Love is Love Reflected, the sacred mirror then does what you do automatically on autopilot. But if you continue to chase and desire what isn't even paying attention to you, then what have you done to the person outside of the mirror? Well, you've completely neglected it. You've completely abandoned it. You've rejected source. You have strayed from the light of your own understanding in pursuit of your shadow. And as such, you are so fucking far from the truth of who you are that it appears as if the love of your life doesn't want you. Of course it doesn't fucking want you. You ain't wanting yourself. Can't you see? Can't you be? Can't you just be non-dualistic? Can't you understand how beautiful this relationship is? Can't you understand you are source, and outside of you, everything you see with with your eyes is your child Christ. This is scripture. This is what actual love is. And if you want that type of divine love, then fucking start behaving like it. Please. Please stop listening to people that teach you this erroneous way and that lead you so far from the light of your own understanding that you do the exact opposite of what you're supposed to be doing, which is loving yourself, which is choosing yourself. If the mirror doesn't choose you, that is a clue. And rather than getting mad because the mirror isn't choosing you, thank that motherfucker. Sorry, they're actually not a motherfucker, they're an angel. But you better thank them. Because what are they teaching you? They are teaching you how you are not choosing yourself. And if you took the time to reverse engineer that and you took the time to come back into you and you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm watering dead plants here. These things don't want me. I'm not supposed to chase them. That's not what love is. Love just is. Love just is. And so as such, in behaving like that, in returning to source, everything comes back to you. Everything. You want to know what's so beautiful about that? You become the universe inside your person. Let me rephrase that. You become aware that you are the universe inside your person, because you are the universe inside yourself, and through a loving connection you are able to see the relationship you have with yourself. And when you learn to love yourself properly and you stop chasing what isn't choosing you, and you instead take that energy back and you start living for you, you start living for your own joy, you start doing the things that matter to you, you take care of yourself, you care about what you eat, you care about your physical exercise, you care about doing things that increase the dopamine, increase all these wellness things, and increase the feelings of good feelings within you. Not for them, for you. Now, this source has more power, more light, and that starts emanating onto the mirror of time and space. And as such, you are no longer dimly lit in the mirror like it says in Corinthians 13-12. Because your shadow has now been removed, and the light that you are emitting allows you to fully know yourself as the soul within your person. Not without, within. And as such, let me tell you, this person, whoever this person is that agrees to show up this way, will show up so beautifully, without struggle, without fights, and without arguments. Why? Because every second of your existence is understood. Every second of your existence is understood. Did you hear me? Not one egoistic thing is used as ammunition. Why? Oh, because you understand yourself, and therefore the ego has no power. And in dissolving that shadow, because you understand how you are the being inside of them, not outside of them, you are able to enjoy being in a relationship with your avatar. You get to truly enjoy. You would be in nature, in the world, but not of it. As such, you get to enjoy the experiences that you're making like a dream. In other words, when you are in a dream and you dream you're having coffee or tea or whatever, okay, in that dream you drink the coffee, you taste it, you feel it, you've actually drunken the coffee, correct? Okay, you never question that you are not drinking that coffee, that you're not actually there until you wake up, correct? Well, that's what I'm asking you to do. Your mortal life is exactly like that. You still get to enjoy the experience, however, you have understood how the dream works, how your avatar works, and as such, you are not confused by anything that happens, because Everything is inside, and you are able to use people as portals. You're able to see into yourself, and every single human being on earth reflects back who you are in the moment, and you exist everywhere at once. But until you come face to face with another human being, are you not fully known, because you are designed for this connection. But until you know yourself, this connection will not make sense. That is why you retract that energy and you place it back on you. You put it back on you, and you love you, and you start living for you. And as such, as the source, you move unapologetically through the world. Your self-expression is coming out. Your health is the best. Why? Because you give a fuck about yourself. Your wealth is now coming up. Why? Because when you're in a good place emotionally, that money that is made with these emotions are going to be coming out of your asshole. You can't help but draw it. I swear to God. But you gotta feel good. You gotta feel good about who you are. You gotta be emotionally in the right place to see how you are not without anything. And as such, you are able to choose wisely. And you're able to see all of your experiences all the time. Anytime you're on the receiving end of something you don't like, honor that experience. Honor that experience and ask yourself the most important question: what is this doing to serve me? Not why is this happening? As causation, you don't do that. That is insanity. As causation itself, you understand every second of your existence if you know who the fuck you are. Point blank, I swear to God, not one person is a mystery. You understand it. And it may take you a few days to understand that moment, but if you walk away from it and you sink back into yourself, you would be like, oh, that's right. That happened because I did that to another human being 5 years ago. Because you were unconscious and running on autopilot. And the object of the game is to remove yourself out of autopilot in order to understand your experience. Some of you think your job is the reason for your abundance. Get the fuck out of here. No, you're healing. You're feeling good about you because you invested the time in getting to know yourself. You invested the time in trying to understand your experience. You invested the time in understanding the human experience because you are here as a spirit having a human experience. When you do that and you have clarity and you're no longer fearing the unknown because you really invested the time to get to know yourself, that's when the money starts just flowing out of the pockets. That's when the opportunities start appearing everywhere, because the way that you have up-leveled is exactly why everyone outside of you up-levels with you. But if you don't understand how they're serving you because you're still acting from there's a me and there's a them, and you're not taking advantage of your telepathy, you're not taking advantage of the fact that you are inside of them and not outside of them, you're not taking advantage of the way that your mind light animates the carcass in your image so that you can see yourself, you're not understanding it from a non-dual and complete and total source perspective, then that is the reason you don't understand why things are the way that they are. You see, you're looking the wrong way in the mirror. And as such, I already told you what happens. The points of contention do not occur when you understand that your eyes are deceiving you into helping you think that you're seeing something separate, but your eyes are simply the windows that allow you to see into your soul. I'm not saying anything that you haven't heard before. I'm just asking you to actually apply it this time. As such, I'm going to beg you all, don't listen to these people that say people don't have free will. That is disgusting. Would you treat your child like this? Would you treat your child like this? Because let me be the first to tell you that if my mom tried that shit on me, I would have rebelled, right? I would have rebelled. Initially, when they were little and they could have hurt themselves, yes, you want to help them, but you are raising them to be independent and self-sufficient beings. And as such, if I said, hey, look, kid, you don't have any say in the matter, what do we eventually do? We can't wait to leave the house. We can't wait to be ourselves. We lose sight of that. All right, let me answer some of these questions, you guys. You talk about the difference between masculine energy versus feminine with respect to loving oneself. Yes, so essentially, masculine energy and feminine energy, we are both. As women, we are technically both. As men, we are both. Okay? Masculine energy is your mind, rational thought. Okay? This is Neville-like teachings where you think about how things are made, you feel about them, you want to know the what, when, and where. Almost everything that has already occurred that has been made with your mind light is actually your masculine energy. This is within you. You are seeking to balance this energy regardless of what your gender is. Okay? This is inside of you. This is how you think. All right? Now, feminine energy, the intuition, that which is the subconscious. Subconscious is the heart of all matter. This is why I reiterate over and over again. The 3D world is the basement. This is a woman's world. And so as a man, it would behoove you to think like a woman. And this is the reason you all were instructed in your schools and women were excluded. We were already connected. It's called feminine intuition. Okay, we have this connection to source, this inner knowing. Why? Because the inner knowing is the heart of all matter. Nothing exists without it. This is why we appear as a negative in the yin and the yang, as the darkness, because the darkness is everything at once. Okay, this is the shadow. I'm the light. Okay, which is also everything at once. It needs the shadow to project. It needs to project its light onto the shadow so that it can see itself. This is why the design is so flawless, so beautiful, so freaking beautiful. But until you balance out these energies, you are going to come across people that will help you do that. That is the design. And so when you understand yourself, this illusion collapses. You become one with your partner, and as such, as one with your partner, there's nothing that can divide you. In fact, you experience everything differently because you're able to see physically how you are the entire universe. It is the design, it is the Adam and Eve template, it is what has always been, it is how you exist on earth. And both of these things are the yin-yang, so to speak. You are looking to balance this. Okay, so feminine is the subconscious heart of all matter. Nothing exists without it. Okay, and the masculine is the invisible mind light that animates the matter that the feminine creates. And they both work together. They are equally as important, and we are both, regardless of what you are as a gender. You are both. And you are seeking to balance these energies out within yourself. As the feminine, you owe a great deal of thanks to the masculine because the masculine predominant energy that is appearing outside of you is helping you understand how you are source. As source, you now, feminine energy, have the ability to help the masculine see himself and awaken God within him through the power of your love. But there is a reason why she is the queen of heaven, because she is everything at once. She's the dark mother in the Hindu scriptures called Kali. She is everything. So she's appearing as the void, as the negative energy, and supposedly he's the positive energy, right? Well, it's only because she is everything at once as the heart of all matter in this 3D world, as the basement. And since your eyes can't translate everything as once as something, we make it seem like it is empty space. It is not. It contains the universe. It is the universe. You are this universe. And then the masculine mind light, which again I repeat, both of you, no matter what you are, have both. This mind light is the force that animates this flesh into being. And when you understand that, you will understand how it says, let us make mankind in our image. You will understand how the mirror is actually reflecting you completely, and how to see yourself and understand yourself as source and as the universe at once. You will no longer see a separate world. You will understand it. In fact, anyone that calls you and asks you a question or asks you for help, you will say, oh yeah, I went through that. I know that's me. Come on, I got you. You know, and you can deal with it, and you will understand everything in your experience. That is not what you see with your eyes that defiles you. It's what comes out of your mouth, how you judge it apart from yourself, that allows you to be correct in your illusion. But that's where you die with the ship. You go down with that ship if you do not use the proper discernment to see with the eyes of your spirit instead. If you judge it apart from yourself, it is so easy. This is why the affirmation culture does that disgusting behavior and say, oh no, they don't have free will and they don't count and blah, 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 and I'm boss bitch and blah, 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 blah. All that nasty shit. Nasty. Because if it's your child, can you imagine being enslaved like that? Because here's the thing, you go down with that shit, baby. So let me give you a few examples of people that did not work on themselves and that bought into this thing, right? I know of somebody right now who wanted more than anything to be with her person, but she was insecure within herself and she worried about other females, and so she worked forever long, however hard, to get rid of other females and get rid of all this other ideas. I mean, see, she, as the source of everything, she is the other females, so it was an insanity first to treat them as separate, and it was an insanity second to want to get rid of them since they were her. Okay? But now, what does her partner want? Oh my God, he's jealous at the drop of a hat. She can't even breathe without him assuming that she's being looked upon by other men. This is her karma. She deserves this. Why? Because you do not force love into existence. And this is the result. You're not doing anything to him or her. You're doing it to yourself, and you will go down with the ship. Another one, she did this whole same thing. She tried to work on herself, but she probably also worked on this, right? She never addressed the fears, and now she's with her partner, but he's not really with her. Why? Because he's voicing all her fears and she doesn't know how to handle them. Why? Because she's still divided. And as such, she is dealing with more, because had she worked on herself, these fears would not be voiced and she would have a harmonious union. But because she focused partially on the shadow and she forgot about herself, now she is dealing with the deficit. This is law. This is law. The formula, I'm going to say it one more time. Source first. You are that source. Regardless of gender, you are that source. Source first. So know what you want. Understand yourself. Give a fuck. Care. Do things for your well-being. Be about your joy. Commit to you. Date yourself. Be your own party. It has nothing to do with needing someone else. This person will come automatically if you be about you. It's important. It's source. You make sure your cup is overflowing first. Now, when you are your own party and when you least expect it, everything that is enamored by this radiance that you are emitting without effort, because you're just being yourself. You found yourself. You're not trying to impress anybody. You fucking just do you. You're unapologetically yourself, and you're okay with who you are. And as such, you're not going to try and change who is out there or how they show up. You're simply going to wait and see who is drawn. But whoever is drawn will show up exactly as you are, with no deficit. With no deficit. Why? Because you eliminated the issues that were causing the deficit in the first place. Why? Because there is no other cause. It's you. This is how the mirror serves you, and why it is equally as holy. Everything outside of you is God in drag. Everything outside of you is holy. And yes, although it is a flesh and it's animated and it's like this thing that does what you do on the inside so you can see yourself, and although it's running on autopilot, it's running on autopilot to serve you, for you to see yourself. When you understand that, no one is guilty of anything. There are no enemies. You finally understood how you are the whole thing. It is in fact you. But because it's you, this aspect of you that you are not recognizing as yourself, so you're hating it and creating a division, and that's why you don't have your love, because you're not recognizing it as yourself. This is not love when you don't do that. This is the hot and cold. This is why they're leaving. This is why they do the things that you do. Why? Because you did it to yourself. When you made them more important than yourself. When you made it about them. When you sought your validation from those that don't give a fuck about you. And then you ask yourself, but why are they showing up this way? And then you go into the trap of, oh, I blame me. Okay. That's only half the equation. It's not about blame, because you are running on autopilot too. Your job is to wake up off of autopilot mode and see what you were doing to yourself, so you can see why the mirror behaves the way that it does. And as such, everyone that shows up this way is doing you the extreme favor of showing you inside yourself. This is not about blame or guilt or being mad or being angry, but it is about taking ownership of that. That's what it's about. All right, you guys, let me see. What I mean by people as portals is when you understand that this is you and you take this upon yourself as your consciousness, you gain their abilities, you gain their understanding, you are not treating them as separate, you are able to see yourself within them, and as such, you animate them differently, and you have the power to heal them on contact. In fact, one of the things that I did, because I no longer have this void and because I understand everything, I had a friend that was an alcoholic, and she has generations of alcoholism, for example. But because I have no more void, in my presence, she quit drinking. So I'm animating that within her. You gain superpowers like you've never had before. You have peace and clarity. And so you force people to level up because they will feel the disparity and they will level up because you have. Understanding people as portals is so simple when you know yourself. It's a higher level skill. It's something that I go in my mastermind, and those that are part of my mastermind will understand how to do this. But I'm not going to go into it in a great deal because these are things that I'm actually personally teaching. Yes, Kelsey, it's normal to want to scream it from the rooftops. It's what I've been trying to do for so long, and so few people understood me. I'm like, don't you understand what you're giving up? And I had to learn the hard way what it meant to not give pearls onto swine. I had to learn that. Because what that means is not that people are swine. It means that you don't give something of such beauty and such value to someone who cannot understand its value. And so I had to learn to pull my energy back in and to stop trying to give these pearls to people who could not possibly relate to its value. Instead, I'm simply going to from now on, only help those that want to help themselves and those that resonate with my message. I am no longer trying to feed this pearl onto people who cannot perceive its value. What I offer is the kingdom. And as such, as the kingdom, you have everything. And this is something that's only understood from source perspective. And when you embrace it and you stop treating things as separate, it's beautiful. But I'm not going to force feed non-duality into people. That's their choice. Can you talk about the difference? Did I miss any questions, you guys? Sorry. I saw something about naturally drawn. Sorry, you guys. It scrolls back up and I lose my place. I've given my children that much power, they would tell me. Are we naturally drawn to other people who can help us balance the masc and femme energy? Yes. Yes. This is by design. It's automatically happening. In the sense that as you upgrade, these people are going to automatically come to you. It's actually by design because since you're everything at once draws everything to it automatically.
It is not something that you try and do. It just is what it is. And so the insanity is to not recognize this power that you have and stand in its way and say it's not you, and then create a barrier and resistance and then time and space between you. When you eliminate this understanding, you're able to look upon everyone with such peace and gratitude, because every single human being shows you a window into yourself and your understanding. As such, you would be looking at a movie of you everywhere. No matter who you see, no matter what you see, you have Christ consciousness at this point. And it is the most beautiful thing to see in the world, to have this Christ perspective, because as Christ, I can't begin to tell you how beautiful it is, but I will tell you this. After my experience where I saw the Christ, the 12-foot light Christ, and I asked God, why was I seeing this? And supposedly this is a creation of our imagination. And God said, well, this is your true image, Cindy. Like that's who, I've only had one child. I understood that to mean that we are in fact this. There's only one, and all of it expresses as the many. It's the many members of the one body that is Christ. And for me to reach that level of understanding and see my true image in that moment was the greatest achievement of my life. Is absolutely why I have such peace over everything. It's why I keep trying to ask people to forgive themselves, to work on themselves, to become to understand themselves as source, because it is only through that experience that you understand that you are alive in the Word, as the Word, and you are the Word, and you understand the mystery of the Christ, the Holy Spirit, and God as yourself. It is absolutely beyond words beautiful. It's not something that you have to experience it. So Teresa, Saint Teresa, had a very similar experience as mine, and I understood her experience perfectly. How she translated it in her world was slightly different than my experience, where I had this mystical vision and I was taken into heaven while alive. In her case, what she saw was the image of Christ, just like I did, and she's looking at this being like, what the? Same reaction I did, because I was looking at it too that way. And Christ asked her, who are you? And she says, I am Teresa of Christ. But she's still looking at this thing like in amazement. And so she asks the Christ, and you? Like, what are you? And the response is, I am Christ of Teresa. That's the same experience I've had. Okay, it translated differently. It was equally as beautiful, and it's something that every spiritual seeker seeks to understand and finally see it. It is the most beautiful thing, and I wish more people had this experience. I wish you could feel that type of love and know that type of source perspective, because once you see this, nothing in this world matters anymore. You're able just to see it. You have awoken from the dream, and you've understood the mystery of yourself. And by that I mean, it's not that it doesn't matter. It's that you see through the illusion of yourself, and you are able to be freed and enjoy this experience as God, as source, and understand the mystery of the living Word as yourself and what you are actually alive in. You have opened the keys to the kingdom, and the Bible itself has made itself your living testimony. It's true of everyone. Everyone will eventually reach this understanding, but I can't put into words how beautiful it is. It's something you'll have to experience. But I'm fortunate enough to have this similar experience, and I'm fortunate enough to have been blessed this way. And the irony is, I had to forgive my mother and my father. That was the only thing I had to do. I was fighting that the whole time. For 38 years, I fought that, and my guides would beg me, please forgive them, please forgive them, please forgive them, please forgive them. And I'd be like, fuck you, no. I don't need them, blah, 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 blah. And I would do it over and over again. And it wasn't until I finally, because I had been beaten up by my life, because it cost me my son's life, because I went through more painful experiences of forgiveness, because I did refuse to forgive, so the forgiveness lessons kept coming in, and they got harder and harder, and I kept swinging that bat, and I was just like, I got this, that's all you got, you ain't hitting me hard enough, right? And I kept taunting it, this war within myself. That's how I lost my son. That was my fault.
but I can recognize my error. And as such, that's when I forgave my parents. That's when I let go. That's when I understood finally what they said. And after that, I was released from my prison. I was released from the place I was crucified at within my skull, and that opened up my source perspective. And that would be the reason that I one day saw the 12-foot Christ while I was jogging and was then told this was my image. It's an experience beyond words, but it's one that I highly recommend for you all. Please forgive everything in your existence. Understand that this is not about guilt. I don't even like the word forgiveness, because the truth is, forgiveness is like implying that someone did something wrong to you, rather than seeing how the whole plan was you. Forgiveness implies that something is wrong. It's the old model, but we have up-leveled. So I use Colin Tippin's words, radical forgiveness, in a sense that in understanding how you made everything, you see how everything perfectly unfolded in every second of your life makes sense, and you'll see that there's nothing to forgive, and there are no more enemies, and there are no more issues. You finally surrendered to the plan that runs on autopilot without you, and you without your awareness of it. Now you're aware of it, and now you can live. Now you are not subject to fate or circumstance or chance. You are that. It's a very different way of existing. It's a beautiful way of existing, and I wish more of you understood that. All right. I think. Sometimes I feel like I can't see what the reflection is trying to show me. What should I do in this circumstance? Okay, you guys, so this is a great question. Here's the thing. Once you forgive every circumstance that has ever caused you pain, ever, you won't be able to understand how it served you. Until you do that, your ego will taunt you with things that you haven't realized that you're doing to yourself. And the only way to understand is to seek to go back like a child. Go back to these memories and see how they were formed. They will become obvious to you. See, your ego made a pact with the inner child that you have. And this pact with the ego, this ego is protecting this inner child from experiencing these things. So it's like in Michael Singer's book where he says, it's like a thorn. You know, if every time you have this thorn stuck, you can do the insane thing of trying to not look at it, not try to bump against it, not try to do anything that would either, make you feel that pain again, and you even disassociate from the fact that it's in there, and you try to convince yourself that it's not. And so when you do that, it starts appearing everywhere in your world outside of you, because it is now delegated to the basement, and the basement is your 3D world, where you will experience these things as the illusion of other people, places, and things that will bring this to your attention. It is in looking at what exactly they are doing that you will understand what you have done to yourself. And so the clarity is going to come from their action. Whether they've rejected you, whether they're abandoning you, whether they've betrayed you, whether it's an injustice of any kind. These are the things that you must look at, because these are the wounds of the human condition that are preventing you from seeing yourself. So I highly recommend radical forgiveness. I highly recommend Will Heal Your Wounds, Find Your True Self, because in these books, it's not about healing forever, but it is about understanding the human condition that is running on autopilot. Everything is serving you. And until you have this source perspective, how is everything serving me? You can't understand why these things continue to happen. But if you do take the time to see, oh, you mean in rejecting myself, I am being rejected? It makes sense. Oh, you mean when I abandon myself, now someone's abandoning me? Oh, you mean my belief that I am not worthy of love? That's a huge one, by the way. See, here's the thing about not being worthy of love. As love, there's no way you can't be worthy of love. So that insane belief has to be addressed. So what does your soul do? Your soul brings you people that will treat you like you're not worthy of love to show you. So that's how you'll see in understanding how they treat you, you will see what you unconsciously believe and have disassociated with. So you're reverse engineering that experience in order to see into yourself. And so you'll discover, oh, you mean he cheated because I don't believe I'm worthy of love? Oh, I got to address that. And so in doing that, it's not about condoning cheating. It's about understanding why you were cheated on. And that's why you guys are suffering, because instead of understanding why it happened to you, you guys go, but why is this happening to me? And you're asking why of causation itself when you're the source of it. So it's in retreating back into source perspective and gaining the knowledge of what you've unconsciously disassociated from, because this is how this mirror of you is serving you. This is how you use the mirror properly. Okay, let me see. Oh, that's funny. You answered my question before reading my comment. Oh. So I do that. I think that's it. Stephanie Bills, is it all me? Yes. Yes. See, let me explain something. As source, you have come into this world to experience who Stephanie is. The only way for you to experience who Stephanie is for you to pretend that you are not everything at once. And so, everything that appears not to be you that is will serve as the contrast that allows you to see who you are, who you truly are as source. And all of those experiences, to be honest, all the people in your world are made from your living memories. They're grouped together to make the illusion of other bodies so that you can appear not to be these people. But your brain in itself, what it does is it takes all your living memories, it makes bodies of experience. And this is your multi-dimensional experience on display. It is absolutely you. It is absolutely you. But as the absolute that is on display on the mirror of time and space, you will understand that. Without understanding who you truly are, without being able to look upon the mirror as the source light, you don't understand that. But the more you collapse this division within yourself, the more you seek to understand yourself as source, the more you understand how every single human being is made into a group of experiences that are made into the illusion of not you, so that you can see how it is you. This will be how you gain your understanding of source perspective. So you're going to use every single human being as a people portal to see into yourself. The girl I had that experience with is an alcoholic, so I can heal her now. Yes. Yes. Yes, you can. It's not upon you. It's not your job. Your job is just to see them as perfectly whole and hold that image and make that image stronger than the other. That will cause them to up level. They will think it is their idea that they want to quit drinking. They will start to do things like, in my case, my friend, she did a methadone like program. In not actual methadone, she didn't use drugs. Her drug of choice was alcohol. But what I mean by methadone is she would take little shot glasses and pour sparkly water in there, so it would make her feel like she was having a shot of tequila, even though she wasn't. Or she would pour grape juice into a wine glass and drink the grape juice and not the wine. And she purposely did that. And so she was psyching herself out to not want the liquor. And as such, as long as I was there, she didn't want to drink. So, but it's not up to me. It's up to you. The part that, what they do and how they do it and how long it takes them to reach there, don't worry about that. Your job is to see them better and allow them to level up on their own. As long as you are fully radiant as the source, this happens automatically. And it is beautiful. I think I answered the questions, you guys. Let me see. How can we join your mastermind? My mastermind classes are a subscription service, and it's on my website. I will post it here. It's basically the weekly mastermind. It is the best way to receive coaching from me. The reason that
that I would encourage everybody to do this is this. You guys, one-on-ones can be draining on me because I say the same thing. All of you think, for some reason, you forget that it's universal experience, and you all think that you're the only one in the world going through whatever it is that you're going through. What you'll discover in this mastermind is that we're all going through it together at different points in time. So what you'll find is the experience that you're currently having, I may have had 5 years ago. Someone else in the class had 15 years ago. Someone else in the class had yesterday. All of this time is the illusion of not you, right? As you. And so when you join these mastermind classes, what you're doing is saving me a lot of trouble so that I don't say the same thing 20, 30 different times a week. I say it once to all of you at once. So it helps me a great deal, and collectively you pay for my time. It just makes it so much easier, and it's the cheapest. It's honestly the cheapest. That's why I suggest it, and I will link that from my website. I think my son is being cruel to his partner. He's angry from what I am not seeing there. Okay. So your child is future you and is mirroring some aspect that you've disassociated with. Your job is to see your son well, forgive, and maybe possibly when he's ready, introduce him to the concept of radical forgiveness. Because his anger needs to be validated as his human experience, but then he's going to need to understand that anger. That's done through reading these type of books. In you're changing yourself, he'll automatically elevate. But I totally understand. You see, our children run on autopilot, and I learned that the hard way. That's why you fix yourself before you have kids. I didn't do that, so I took it the hard way, the other way around. As such, I'm going to tell you that then when they repeat our history, it's very painful to watch because, you know, it's sad to see them because they don't know that they're running on autopilot as ourselves. They don't know that. They think they're original. No, they were the originals as them. And it's been repeating over and over again for our benefit. So our parents, our past life us, our kids, our future life us with us now. And in being one with all of this and in working on you, you change the direction of both your parents and your children. But it's also really good and healthy to put these books in their hands and develop their understanding when they're ready. Okay, don't force them, but just be like, hey, this book really helped me. I thought maybe you might like it. And leave it at that. If they don't read it, fine, that's on them. But at least you will have dropped the seed that will one day free them. Don't judge the experience, because again, this is his journey, but in doing it for yourself, you change them. When we meet someone, hang on. Sorry, you guys. Alcoholic. I got that. Answer my question. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to read as fast as I can. And when we meet someone who balances our energies, is it normal to feel almost like shock, like, whoa, you're so perfect and you're me and I'm you and I want to cry because of... Yes. Yes. In fact, you will hear stories of Christ and the way that Christ's eyes twinkled and there was so much love emanating. It's because of this understanding. I know, because I can see it, right? It's because of this understanding that you feel so much love for everyone. This is where my desire to serve you all comes from. Because I can't imagine you all being locked out of this world. The fuck? Like, you can have anything you want instantly. You love madly and deeply. Everything that you desire just comes to you like this. It's effortless. You no longer have to try, struggle, or do anything. It's been set up in your favor, and all that you have to do is get out of your own way and seek to understand yourself. It says, with all thy getting, seek to understand yourself. That's because once you understand yourself, every human being is no longer a stranger. You can see how you are made. You made them in your image. And this is what allows you to see into yourself in such a way that you become the greatest version of yourself. There's a quote in the Gospel of Thomas that says, when you were in the light, you became one.
And once you became one, you will then become two. Then what will you do? And what that really means is, once you've understood you are source, you're still going to get to exist in a world, a physical world. You have a spirit world within that is animating every fleshly illusion out there. And then you also have your physical experience. This is when you become two. But since you know that you are one within the light, what you do with this understanding, and once you become aware that you are source of your experience, that's your true self. Now you've begun to really live, because you're no longer asleep in the mortal dream. So the question is, what will you do when you return to being two? Is, what will you do now that you know that everything is you? How will you treat every single human being on earth? Will you still see an enemy, or will you realize how they served you? Will you look with them with the eyes of love? Will you see their perfection? Will you see their divinity? Because it's the same divinity that's within you. Will you be love to have love? That's the question. And when you get that, it's life on another level. Okay. Is this an experience that happens in divine timing, or does it just click? It does click with your understanding of yourself, but I will say this, the shortcut is let go of all things that you've perceived as painful. Instead, have reverence and be grateful for these things, and understand that whatever pains you in your moments, in your childhood, in the ex-boyfriends, the ex-girlfriends, whatever brought your attention back into yourself as creator of it, forgive those things, as in understand, radically forgive these things, as in understand they served you instead of worked against you, and that it was not a thing about they're guilty and I'm not and I'm innocent and this victim mentality. Let that 3D experience go. Instead, take the 5D experience as creator. How is this serving me? What is it that I've done to myself that I need to see? This angel, this darkness that I'm not recognizing, that I've disassociated from, is serving me. Because if you don't do that, it repeats throughout time, over and over and over and over and over again. You fall into the wheel of Dharma unconsciously, and it repeats. And what happens is it'll be different faces, and it'll show up in your job, in your children, in your relationships, and everywhere, over and over and over again, until you realize you're the source of it. And then once you realize you're the source of it, I don't want you to take on this guilt, like I'm guilty of all this stuff, because you were running on autopilot just as much as they are. That's what the Christ meaning of being crucified on the cross and being beaten and bloody and ugly and all that. And he said, forgive them, Father, they do not know what they do. That is what that moment means. Forgive my consciousness. I forgot how I was creating everything, and this is my worst nightmare, and even in my worst nightmare, they are innocent. So when you take that attitude, you now take yourself off the cross of guilt for them and for yourself, and now you're able to perceive the world differently. And so this experience of understanding yourself as source will happen the moment you start believing and accepting that everything is you. That's what changes, and how it served you. And so when you have that, it will happen automatically. You'll have your Teresa moment. You'll have your Cindy moment. You'll have whatever other saint, I don't know, has gotten through these experiences. I know I'm not alone. In fact, that's what the Bible stories are about. Walking to heaven while you're alive. Okay. I think that's everything. Thanks. When you explained that to me, I actually saw myself not in a clear vision, but can see how he's repeating my past experiences. Yes. Yes. Let me tell you something, Anna. So you're a part of my soul family? You're a part of my soul family. You so are. My sister's name is Anna. So, Anna Nula. It's absolutely. You're my, Greek version of my sister? Yeah. I'm not fooled by this illusion. You see? My brain only takes all the things I know and makes illusions of others to show me how I enter myself, and so how I can recognize my soul family, okay? So same thing happened with my daughter. She thinks she's original. No, she's replaying the shit that I did to my mama. Okay? That's my karma. This is why I tell you, release these ideas and understand until they wake up to this illusion, they'll get off autopilot. But you owe it to them to thank them even when we don't like what we see. Because when we don't like what we see, that's exactly why we're standing there in this moment. You're the veil. You are the veil. You are the one protecting the universe from your creation. And so you cast your shadow, and the shadow then shows up as the illusion of another so that you can see yourself. This is what it means by the window being darkly lit. See, because as long as you don't accept being the source of it, you are seeing your shadow and you will treat this person as separate. But instead, if you understand how it's you, even if it's past, experience you, and it's what you needed to fix because you forgot that it was still existing within you, boom, they're freed and you're freed. That's why you got to understand yourself and see how it's serving you and accept being everything at once. It's a very beautiful design. It's flawless. It's flawless. The world is absolutely flawless in its design of yourself. And so as such, you let your children off the hook, and then they can stop playing that role because you learn from it. And whether it's and by children, let me tell you, it's not always just physical children, okay? Everything outside of you is your child Christ. So every human being is technically your child. And you owe it to this child to treat every single human being as such, as your child, and have that type of love. When you do that, you are freed. You're able to see yourself fully. All right, you guys. Light bulbs, huh? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. I actually saw myself repeating my experience. What else? Can we skip the level up part and just wish them away? I actually do that a lot. The way that I do that, you guys, is this, okay? So I have a method, Brian. What I do is this. Very simple. Once I understood how they're serving me, and we don't like this experience, but we have to see how they served us, and we no longer need this experience because it keeps repeating, and we finally see that we're the source of it, so we're able to do that. What I do is I go inside my mind's eye, since I exist in the spirit world, and the spirit world is controlling the world outside. So I exist inside this imagination, and this is the mind light force that is animating the carcass in my image on autopilot, right? So you want to go back to the source light that is doing that, because this is why they're behaving like this. So I go into my mind's eye, and I literally take a moment, and I thank this person. I don't have to physically be with them, okay? I just thank them, their spirit that lives within me. Okay, that's why it's creating the illusion. And my mind doesn't know the difference between what's actually there and what's not. Okay, and I hug them out and I say, thank you for making me aware of what I didn't know I was doing to myself. Thank you. I so appreciate you showing up, because if you didn't show up, I would continue to experience worse examples of this over and over again in my world. So I'm so grateful to you. I don't care what they did to you. If what they did was painful, it's okay. Hug them anyway, because if you don't, this pain that you refuse to look at will repeat again. And so they just saved you a whole lot of time in that sense. So in appreciating that, you disarm your ego, because your ego made this tool. Your ego made this tool, and your spirit said, yeah, I'm going to use that to your advantage. Okay? So in thanking them this way, then the next thing I do, because everything is a soul contract, in my mind's eye, I rip up the contract. Okay? And then what happens is they magically disappear. And since your lesson has been appreciated rather than rejected, you go past go, instead of, oh, you failed that, let's try again in a few years. See the difference? So, and then your trigger has now served you, and you get to go past the virtual reality game in which you were stuck on that level. And so that's how you level up. And so it's just a trick. It's a mind trick, but it's a very effective one. Okay. I think, let's see. Well, of course, that's why your name is Cindy, and that's why I found you. Talk about forgiving childhood trauma. It's also how Cameron and I met, and how I met about 6 other people named Cameron. That makes sense. Yes, yes, yes. Was Cindy an asshole in your childhood? I'm sorry. I was an asshole in my childhood sometimes too. I was an angry kid. I was an angry kid because all the stuff that happened to me that I couldn't talk about. My bad. I recognize my shadow. It's okay. All right. I know I'm causation. I just don't know how. So this is going to come from understanding yourself. This is going to come from understanding yourself. The more you take time to forgive these experiences, the less they'll start happening. But I highly encourage those worksheets in the Radical Forgiveness. Highly, highly encourage those, because when you start practicing those worksheets, you'll be able to gain source perspective more and more and more and more. And as such, you release yourself from these forgiveness lessons, and being causation will make perfect sense. Because in all honesty, I'll say it again, your brain takes all your living memories, groups them into a group of experiences, and makes the illusion of a body of not you, supposedly, right? But there's no way it can't be, because your eyes reflect back inward what's in the back of your head. So even though remember they're a mirror, if you look in a mirror, you look straight ahead, but you actually see what's behind you, right? Well, your eyes work the same way. So in tricking you, your eyes, what they do is they deceive you into thinking that this is not your creation when it is. And so the more you start to understand how your brain makes the illusion of others and how everything is you, because you've taken the time to forgive and understand yourself, the clearer the images will be. So in my case, right, because my mother and father were forgiven, and this was my greatest thing that I had to fix within myself, now all experiences that are like my mother and father have been added to my DNA, and so all of their multidimensional experiences are also mine. And so when people come to me and they experience something, oh, I'm like, oh, that's my mom's energy. Oh, that's my dad's energy. Oh, that's me. That's, I know it's all me, right? But it's my ability to expand and because I use them as portals, their experience is my experience. Same thing with my daughter. My daughter taught me that. She taught me how to trade bodies. Unconsciously as a child, she taught me how to do it. And when she taught me how to do it, I thought she and I just had some kind of special bond that was like, yeah, she's a future version of me, I guess. I guess that makes sense. I didn't understand how it was working. And then it wasn't until later on in a love relationship that I realized that I trade bodies there too. And then I read Revelations 21-16 that actually tells you about the city being equal on all sides. And what the city means, it's a metaphor for the truth. And so what it's saying is, whatever is true must be true of everybody, or it's not true. And so as such, in that understanding, I was able to expand on that awareness and able to trade bodies with anybody, because it's understanding that I'm the spirit inside of them, animating this way so that they can see themselves, and vice versa. Again, it's always you, but it's in reverse engineering all of this that it makes sense. Okay. Hey, Anna, my sister from another mother. So Anna is really cool, you guys, because Anna is from the Philippines, and what's really cool is, what you don't know is, I was raised by a Filipino grandma, adopted. My aunt was married to a Filipino man, and this was the love of her life, and probably who she should still be with. And so I was fortunate enough to be adopted into this family this way. And so I was technically my aunt's first child, and so I got all the benefits of my cousin's family. So the Filipino side of my family makes perfect sense, and Anna being the name of my sister, you see how I can break down these illusions? I can make perfect sense of them. I can see how she's an important part of my soul family. So when we met in Barbados, it was super cool, because it was a window back in time into my memories, and like all the food and all the things of my childhood that were actually happy were made possible because I could see my soul in her.
and I could see my memories in her. And so she's very special to me, you guys. Nice. Kelsey, it's easy to see her that way because she's already perfect as she is. It's literally impossible. Yep. Okay. All right, you guys. This live has been unreal. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you just for watching and for listening. And I know it's a lot of information. I try and make non-duality as easy as can be, and I try and teach source perspective over and over again because it's a gift that keeps on giving. Okay? Love you. Bye.